A History of the Black Panther Party by the Marxists' Internet Archive. In October of 1966, in Oakland, California, Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party for self-defense. The Panthers practiced militant self-defense of minority communities against the U.S. government and fought to establish revolutionary socialism through mass organizing and community programs. The party was one of the first organizations in U.S. history to militantly struggle for ethnic minority and working class emancipation. A party whose agenda was the revolutionary establishment of real economic, social, and political equality across gender and color lines.
The Black Panther Party is a political party, and that we have a political platform and definitely a political aim. Our aims and goals are liberation of the black community, freedom of the black community, and in short, political power of the black people, which we don't have at this point.
Now, it seems to me that what you're asking for is revolutionary change.
Yes, before you have any change, first black people have to gain political power. And we haven't ever gained anything by the capitalistic system. Free enterprise and capitalism has only been destructive to black people, and we're demanding a drastic change, revolutionary. Within our platform, it's explained that man has a right to live, and to live, he's going to have to provide for himself and his family. So therefore, it's up to the administrators to provide him with work. The Black Panther Party demands full housing, decent housing rather, that's fit for human beings to live in. We demand full employment. But as far as what are we going to do about this, and that if people are afraid, I don't believe that they're really afraid of guns. If it was really so, if the majority of them were afraid of guns, then they would demand that their armed forces be disarmed, and that their police officer, which is actually the local army, be disarmed, and the National Guard be disarmed. But they only become afraid when the victim starts arming himself, and in a political fashion. And as far as the demands that we say and how we go about this, as far as the power that we're going to develop, that we are developing, I think is in keeping with all colonized people. And we are colonized people. We always have been.
Black Panther Theory. The practices of the late Malcolm X were deeply rooted in the theoretical foundations of the Black Panther Party. Malcolm had represented both a militant revolutionary with the dignity and self-respect to stand up and fight to win equality for all oppressed minorities, while also being an outstanding role model, someone who sought to bring about positive social services, something the Black Panthers would take to new heights. The Panthers followed Malcolm's belief of international working class unity across the spectrum of color and gender, and thus united with various minority and white revolutionary groups. From the tenets of Maoism, they set the role of their party as the vanguard of the revolution, and worked to establish a united front. While from Marxism they addressed the capitalist economic system, embraced the theory of dialectical materialism, and represented the need for all workers to forcefully take over the means of production. Black Panther History. On April 25, 1967, the first issue of The Black Panther, the party's official news organ, goes into distribution. In the following month, the party marches on the California state capitol, fully armed, in protest of the state's attempt to outlaw carrying loaded weapons in public. Bobby Seale reads a statement of protest, while the police respond by immediately arresting him and all 30 armed Panthers. This early act of political repression kindles the fires to the burning resistance movement in the United States, soon initiating minority workers to take up arms and form new Panther chapters outside the state. In October of 1967, the police arrest the defense minister of the Panthers, Huey Newton, for killing an Oakland cop. Panther Eldridge Cleaver begins the movement to free Huey, a struggle the Panthers would devote a great deal of their attention to in the coming years, while the party spreads its roots further into the political spectrum, forming coalitions with various revolutionary parties. Stokely Carmichael, the former chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and a nationally known proponent of Black Power, is recruited into the party through the struggle and soon becomes the party's prime minister in February 1968. Carmichael is adamantly against allowing whites into the Black liberation movement, explaining whites cannot relate to the Black experience and have an intimidating effect on blacks, a position that stirs opposition within the Panthers. Carmichael explains, whites who come into the Black community with ideas of change seem to want to absolve the power structure of its responsibility for what it is doing, and say that change can only come through Black unity, which is the worst kind of paternalism. If we are to proceed toward true liberation, we must cut ourselves off from white people. Otherwise, we will find ourselves entwined in the tentacles of the white power complex that controls this country.
I will not deny that poor whites in this country are oppressed, but there are two types of oppression. One is exploitation, the other is colonization, and we have to understand the difference between both of them. Exploitation is when you exploit somebody of your own race. Colonization is when you exploit somebody of a different race. We are colonized, they are exploited. They are exploited. Now let us explain how the process of exploitation and colonization works. If I am black and I am exploiting you who are also black, we have the same values, the same culture, the same language, the same society, the same institutions. So I do not have to destroy those institutions for you. But if you are of another race, if you have a different culture, different language, different values, I have to destroy all of those to make you bow to me. And that is the difference between poor blacks and poor whites. Poor whites have their culture, have their values, have their institutions. Ours have been completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. So when you talk about alliances, you recognize alliances with people who are trying to rebuild their culture, trying to rebuild their history, trying to rebuild their dignity, people who are fighting for their humanity. Poor white people are not fighting for their humanity, they're fighting for more money. They're fighting. There are a lot of poor white people in this country. You ain't seen none of them rebel yet, have you? Why is it that black people are rebelling? Do you think it's because it's just poor jobs? Don't believe that junk that hunky is running down. It's not poor jobs. It's a question of a people finding their culture, their nature, and fighting for their humanity. For their humanity. For their humanity. For their humanity. We have been so colonized that we are ashamed to say we hate. And that is the best example of a person who's colonized. You sit in your house, a hunky walks in your house, beats you up, rapes your wife, beat up your child, and you don't have the humanity to say, I hate you. You don't have it. That is how dehumanized we are. We are so dehumanized, we cannot say, yes, we hate you for what you have done to us. Can't say it. Can't say it.
In the beginning of